Message from Starfleet Command, top priority.
You are listening to the TrekRanks podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 170, featuring the top 5 Lower Decks Season 4 moments. Welcome, Star Trek fans. I am Jim Moorhouse, and I'm the host of the TrekRanks podcast. And tonight, we are infiltrating Nova Fleet to get up close and personal with the 4th season of Star Trek Lower Decks. Tonight, it's the top 5 Lower Decks Season 4 moments. And what a great season it was. Another classic to add to the Star Trek Pantheon. And joining us tonight to break it all down, we have 2 awesome guests. First up, she is back for her 11th overall appearance on TrekRanks. Hailing us from Deep Space LA is our friend in podcasting force, Charlynn Schmiedt. Welcome back, Char.
Hello. Thank you for having me back. Didn't we just do TrekRanks 100?
Oh my God. I know, they just keep piling up. 170 somehow.
That was probably forever ago, and yet it doesn't seem like that long ago. So yeah, time is a warp, and yeah.
Every 2 weeks, somehow we have a TrekRanks appear. And our second guest is making his TrekRanks debut after filling out our awesome TrekRanks survey calibration we did a few months ago. So we appreciate everybody that filled that out. We're slowly going through it. He's a huge Lower Decks fan, so we're happy to have him on for this topic. Hailing us from the New York sector, it's Todd Kehoe. Welcome, Todd.
Hello. So glad to be here.
So glad to have you on. And I noticed in your response to our survey, you mentioned that Lower Decks is one of your favorites. So as we always do for our first time guests, give us a little background on your Trek origin story and how you got into Trek and what's your favorite and have you seen it all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't remember exactly how I got into Star Trek. I do know that my mother took me to see The Voyage Home in the movie theater, and I was probably like 6 at the time. But I do remember that, and I was a fan. And then TNG premiered shortly after I turned 8, and I didn't watch it at first, but the local channel started re-airing reruns every afternoon, and boy, I'd rush home from school and catch those season 1 and season 2 episodes, and somehow I got hooked. And then basically from season 3 on, I've been watching Trek pretty much ever since.
That's fantastic. So you know that The Voyage Home was your entry point.
I'm pretty sure that I had seen some TOS before that, but I really have no memory of that. But I do remember seeing The Voyage Home. So I'm gonna count that as the one with the whales is the one that got me too.
I love it.
And I'll say that TNG is my favorite because that was my childhood. That was my gateway drug, so to speak. Yep. But I have to admit, I kind of think DS9 is the greatest Trek of all time. So there is that. That's
a pretty common refrain. I was going to ask you what your favorite is, but so TNG is your kind of gateway and your favorite, but acknowledging the greatness of DS9 is something most of our guests end up doing.
Yeah, and I have to say, though, I have been so happy to live in a time where we get new Trek. And great new Trek too. It's amazing. It's so great.
It's crazy. They have absolutely hit a home run on their mission of creating all these new variants that feel different in the same universe, but they all do something very different. It's just incredible that this is happening. 5 new shows, 6. Okay, I'm losing count. There's so many. It's crazy. All right, let's start with our quick TrekRanks recalibration now so we can talk some Lower Decks.
You can recalibrate the regulators now.
Will do.
Okay, the TrekRanks charter has 2 clauses. 1, we rank Trek so we can have a fun conversation about Star Trek. And 2, the ranks don't matter. We just use them as the framework to have a deep dive conversation about all the things we love about Trek.
Infinite diversity in infinite combination. Words that are a mere shadow of its true meaning.
And their true meaning on TrekRanks is basically no wrong answers. This show is all about sharing the things we love about Trek, and we love it all from TOS to TNG, straight to the Enterprise, the Kelvin timeline, and now Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Short Treks, Lower Decks, Picard, and I said that before, and Prodigy. It's all fair game here on the TrekRanks podcast.
Black alert.
Blank alert.
And a reminder that this episode of Trek Ranks is current through the complete Star Trek Lower Decks 4th season and the episode Old Friends, New Planets, which is the 903rd episode of Trek across the past 57 years. And one final reminder, we don't need the films tonight. So we are not using episodes as a shorthand term for the films because we're talking Star Trek Lower Decks.
Hailing frequencies open.
Thank you, Mr. Worf. You can hail me directly on Twitter at TrekRanks or at Enterprise N Extra on Blue Sky at TrekRanks, and you can see our extensive rankings of all the Treks at TrekRanks.com. And don't forget to call and leave us a message with your own picks at 609-512-LLAP. That's 609-512-5527. Get us some voicemails, people. We're finally caught up on our backlog of voicemails, so we need some new ones. Okay, Shar and Todd, let everyone know how they can get a hold of you on Subspace. Shar.
Sure. You can find me at Oh the Profanity wherever I am on a social network. If I'm there, that's my handle. And yeah, chat me up.
One of our favorites, Todd. How about you, man?
So I'm trying to get away from Twitter, aka the bad place these days. Yes. But you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm clever handle here at bluesky.social or whatever it is. But clever handle here, you'll find me.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, if everybody track down Todd, that's how we first connected. Okay, I think we're ready to run a diagnostic cycle to get into today's show.
Computer, run a level 2 diagnostic.
So as always, we are using our TrekRanks matrix to break it all down for this topic. So instead of just picking 5 random items, we're going to highlight our top moments via the TrekRanks matrix, breaking down top 5 Lower Deck season 4 moments in round 5. We're each going to pick our favorite production design element. So that can be anything like favorite ship, prop, literally anything, cinematography, whatever. Round 4, we're going to choose our creative MVP. So it could be an actor or someone on the production team, whoever you think was kind of the MVP of the season. Round 3 is the Dabo Round Wildcard round. It's complete wildcard pick, anything you want to talk about. Round 2 is all about your favorite character, the one you want to highlight from this season. And round 1 is clear. It's what we do on Trek Ranks. It's your favorite episode of the season. And then we'll get some secondary systems picks for some of the outliers and things that just didn't quite make our list. All right, that's it. Let's get into our Prime Directive. I'm dying to hear how you guys broke it all down.
Do they know about Prime Directive? They know everything I know, sir.
And you're about to know everything we know about our Prime Directive. So, Shar, let's start with you. How did you break down your picks? Anything special or just kind of go with your gut?
It was more going with my gut this time.
Yep.
Yeah, with Lower Decks, this feels like a little more random than trying to come up with a system that makes sense, that has any logic to it. It's just, no, I like this one.
Yep. And that makes sense, especially with the Matrix in play already, breaking it down for you.
Right, exactly.
How about you, Todd? Anything you did to approach kind of how you were going to put together your first Trek Ranks list?
Yeah, so my one goal was I didn't want to repeat any episodes, which actually hampered me a little bit with one of my picks, which I'll get into a little bit. And the other thing, I felt like there was a theme of change this season, so a lot of my picks have to do with that.
Oh, I love that. That is very cool. Yeah, I always try to spread it around too and not repeat myself. I failed this time. So the one thing I do for my Prime Directives on these recap shows is I always look back at my previous season picks just to make sure I'm not completely repeating myself. And so I tried that again. This time I'm pretty good. I didn't really copy myself anywhere. So I'm 100% not picking Tawny Newsome again because I picked her twice. And I know I could pick her every time. Same with Boimler and Jack Quaid. I've picked him twice, so I'm definitely got away from that. And another one I avoided because I found a lot of my picks have been all about the writing and the story and the kind of the humor, so I got a little bit away from that as well. So yeah, I definitely tread some new ground in this season with my picks. All right, let's do it. Third Ramadiclon, introduce us to the order of things.
I am a Jem'Hadar. He is a Vorta. It is the order of things.
Thank you, Third Ramadiclon. As always, everyone will start with their 5-word summary and a hashtag to tease their picks. Then we'll each reveal our Lower Deck season 4 moments and the episode that we think best represents that pick. And then after getting through 5 rounds of picks, we'll get a few secondary system selections from everyone. And remember, if we have any duplicate picks, make sure you listen for the Defiant Torpedoes. Okay, Shar, we're starting with you. What's your number 5 pick for your top 5 Lower Deck season 4 moments, round 5 production design element?
Okay, here we go. My 5 words for this one are check out the Black Mountain, hashtag boop on the nose. I had to go with Badgie ascending into his own universe, question mark.
Oh my God. What the hell was that?
What it was a very creative and visually stunning and very well executed sequence. And so that is why I went with it. I just really love the way that came together. It was, I don't know, I was in awe of it the first couple of times. And I still am. I still am every time I watch it. I just watched it yesterday just to make sure I wasn't overlooking anything. And there were other things in my secondary systems that were definitely high competition because the animation really is outstanding throughout this whole season. But this, for whatever reason, just really, it has to take this one because of kind of that otherworldly creativity that they threw into it.
Yeah, that's a great way to frame that. So yeah, the scenic art was my production design pick in season 3. So I just was like, I gotta just highlight the way these guys represent all this. So I love this pick because I actually love this episode. It's in my top half for the season. And it just kind of, it blew me away when, so now Badgie's ascending and the koala's there. And then you have this.
Right, the koala.
There's just so much going on with this ascension and God, the art. Oh my God, the way they represent it. It's so good. And the Badgie separating into Goodgie and Logic-y. I freaking love a few Badgies more. Todd, what is your take on this one?
I was absolutely roaring with laughter when Goodgie shows up, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes, here we go!" And then Logic-y, just to seal the deal. Yes. I feel like this season, Lower Decks called back itself a lot more than it has in the past, and I really liked that about this season.
Yeah, they've built it up now so that the references aren't just old 90s Trek. It's they're playing off the things that they've created. And and you mentioned the Black Mountain in your 5 words and a hashtag. Brilliant. Okay. Right off the bat, I love this. Badgie. Todd, what's your production design pick?
Okay, my 5 words, more than a costume change, hashtag 4 picks make a big difference. And it's our lower deckers getting promoted and moving up to Lieutenant JG this season.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes,
so
promotions.
Yeah, other than Harry Kim, who's the obvious exception to this role, people clearly get promoted into Starfleet all the time. It felt like this had to happen at some point. But the show could have just carried on as though it was no big deal and nothing really changed, or just made it kind of a big joke. But instead, I felt like a lot of the season ended up being about the new duties and responsibilities of our new lieutenant junior grades, and kind of how it affected them and affected their friendship. And for that reason, I picked Caves as my episode, because that was the moment when their friendship was kind of cemented, even though they'd been pulled apart a little bit in different directions by the promotion.
Wow, what an inspired pick. I was assuming you're going to pick Tuvix, but Caves is such a great pick.
I thought about that too. And I will say this, and I'm not picking this episode. This was actually the one that I wanted to pick because I'm going to pick this later. But there's a really poignant moment when Boimler and Tendi are packing up to leave the bunks for the last time, and I have no bones, but I must flee.
Yeah.
And the camera just kind of lingers on the bunks for a second, and the lights go out.
Yeah.
And it's a really sweet moment. And it's like, wow, what a big change for this show that, TV can be kind of static at times. They kind of go back to zero. They hit the reset button. And this was like a really big change, and they really leaned into it. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that moment. I'm so glad you mentioned that moment. That was very orchestrated and direct to say, "Hey, this is the change." So now it's now they're in a new place, and we're not coming back here. It was great, so good. Promotions is such a great pick, and it highlights what Mike McMahan as a showrunner does so well with this series, just having everything that happens have consequence and movement forward. And you knew this was coming. And I love the interviews where he just said, we're going to do it at the end of season 4. I was just like, screw it. Let's just do it at the start of season 4 and just see what that means for these characters. And they're still lower decks. None of that has changed. It's just a different angle of being lower decks. I love it. Shar, what's your take on the promotions for our lower deckers?
Yeah, absolutely love this part of it, the reason why you picked it. And yes, that transition, we could feel the wind of change going through that. And actually this season, there's been a number of really good transition elements. That was being one of them. And then also I would nominate the very end at episode 10 of Old Friends, New Planets. Just the way it lingers right into the end credits.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh
yeah, so good. So good. That will come up again. And I just want to highlight too, that we're talking promotions, how they did the Rutherford promotion is just beyond brilliant. Just beyond, because you end that first episode and you're like, and something's up, right? But you don't know what's up. And you're like, oh, not Rutherford? What's going on? What is happening? And
right?
The way that all plays out, and I have no bones, is just genius.
And I mean, honestly, Rutherford should be like a lieutenant commander on his own.
Exactly.
Like chief engineer somewhere by now.
Totally.
Well, but now there's a reason why he's not, because he keeps turning down promotions.
Yeah, because he said no.
Like, he and Harry Kim need to have a conversation about this, probably.
So great.
Man, now I wish I hadn't turned down all those promotions.
Sorry, what?
For saving the Cerritos from the pack lids and the Rubidoux from the space jellyfish, stuff like that.
Wait, why did you turn them all down?
Because I didn't want my own room where I wouldn't be near you.
Oh, Rutherford. But can't you just go accept one right now?
Nah, they take it really seriously in engineering. You have to earn it with a scientific...
Hey, Phillips! Can Rutherford have his promotion for that time you removed the hull?
Oh, sure. Sorry, Livick. Maybe next time.
Wait, I can just ask for stuff I deserve?
I guess.
Rutherford! Rutherford!
All right, let's go to my production design element in round 5. 5 words in a hashtag. You're going to like this one, Shar. Made her name farther out, hashtag, than any of those other relics. And it's just Voyager. It's Voyager. Yay! It's the ship Voyager. My episode is Tuvix. And this isn't about the episode Tuvix. This is about seeing Voyager again. The ship, the exterior, the reveal with the poetic music or the poignant music, and then the interior with the bridge and the corridors and the gel packs. It's all just so beautiful and so perfectly recreated. Like it feels like live action Trek in all those scenes when you're on the ship and looking at the ship, from Macrovirus to Chaotica and Michael Sullivan and and the clown. I love it. The episode is a lot. There's a lot going on in this episode. And that's not a criticism, by the way. That's just, once you realize where they're going with this episode, you're just sitting there like, this is a lot. Oh my God. But all the Voyager stuff in that episode is immaculate and perfect. Shar, what's your take on that?
I mean, of course, I loved this. And did I think about Voyager for top production design? Yeah, of course. I thought that would be a little too obvious for me to pick it, though. So I'm glad you did.
I tried to get away from it, and I just could not.
But it's so good. It really does feel like you're coming home again if you're a Voyager fan. And all of the callbacks that they make to things that happened on Voyager in that episode. Yeah. I mean, it's just so very Voyager. And of course, I love that. I love that so much. I'm like Mariner. It's like, oh my God, I get to do something on Voyager. It's going to be amazing.
Oh my God, we get to do something on Voyager.
Do you? Because, Boimler's going to flip.
Oh, man, it really is perfect. Todd, what's your take on seeing Voyager again?
I mean, I just love the fact that they basically speed ran 7 seasons of Voyager in 21 and a half minutes.
Yeah,
they just got it all in there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They did.
I mean, just the...
Can I drop some fun headcanon though?
Yeah, sure.
Ooh.
So, I don't know if they intended to do this, maybe not. I liked the idea that the reason Tuvix in the end was on the bridge pleading for his life, even though he supposedly had Tuvok and Neelix in him, was because that plant made him do it, and that's what drove the mutants to do the same thing on the Cerritos.
All right.
So that's my new headcanon, is that actually it wasn't their fault. He was pleading because the plant was making him do it. It wasn't,
Yeah, no, that actually that fits very well with Tuvix, not Tuvix. Yeah, that fits really well. But Todd, did you just call them mutants? That's offensive, man.
I'm sorry. You're right. I apologize.
They would be so offensive. All right, let's go to round 4. Shar, who's your creative MVP for the season?
Okay, this was by far and away the hardest of each of these rounds because it takes everybody to make this show as brilliant as it is. And it seems, I don't know, it doesn't seem right to single any one person out. But if I have to, my 5 words are, and this ties right into what we were just talking about, it's Voyager, shit got freaky, hashtag get the cheese to sickbay. I'm nominating Mike McMahan because he wrote Tuvix.
Yes. I love it. I love it. He deserves all the praise.
He does. If credit has to go to any one person on this show, it's got to be him because he's the showrunner. Everything has to be signed off by him. He makes sure every aspect of production, from the scripts to the smallest details in the animation, are in line with his vision of the show, that they're accurate, everything. He's responsible for it all. So I got to go with Mike McMahan. This show could only be made by him. And he's doing such a beautiful and brilliant job with it. I can't imagine Star Trek now without his take on it.
Oh my God, you said something that it's kind of obvious, but you're right. He's the only guy that could make this show. His knowledge, his skill sets, his sense of humor.
Right.
He toes the line so perfectly between going too far, but it's just incredible.
If you had him, say, on staff for Picard or Prodigy, it would not work. Those are not the shows he was meant to be on. Everybody is in the right place.
Yep, it's a different thing. So you're picking Tuvix as the episode. I love it.
Since he wrote Tuvix, I'm highlighting this episode. It's an example. It's how Lower Decks branches into every corner of the Star Trek universe and has fun adventures with the things we already know and love, but it gives it that Lower Decks spin.
Well, I tweeted this and I'll say it here. One of my favorite elements in this whole story with the craziness of the new Tuvixes was the graphic that they used to kind of explain what happened, the quick little shot.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, Tuvok, very stoic. And then there's like a jaunty little Neelix. He's standing there, but he's got a little kick in his
he's
stance.
doing a jig. He is definitely doing a jig.
I mean, jaunty is the only word I can think of. And it's just, that is the perfect little detail to help kind of just tell you everything you need to know about these two characters without having exposition. Todd, what's your take on Mike McMahan, the showrunner? He's a genius.
I mean, I completely agree, and I think the show is, like a lot of showrunners, it is so much of him in the show.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and he's fantastic, and I think you could always pick him for this one. Which is to say that I did not, but he was, how could you not have him as like a secondary system?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't pick him the first season, but I picked the whole writer's room. It's kind of a cheat. So, okay, round 4. Let's continue. Todd, who's your creative MVP?
Okay, and I apologize for making me get on the bleep button for this one, but my round 4 pick, my 5 words are, I too must be Vulcan, hashtag as a motherfucker. And my pick here is Gabrielle Ruiz playing Charlynn, who was just a wonderful addition this season. And you think about how challenging it must be to play a Vulcan on screen, where you can't outwardly show emotion, but you can at least offer hints or facial expressions that show that inside maybe you have some emotional turmoil going on. Ruiz has to do it all with just her voice, but I think she just nails the part, both in her cool, logical delivery, but also the occasional slip into some emotional understanding that she runs into during the season. And my episode is if I can pronounce this correctly, anthropological fallacies, where she seems to be the only one keeping her head until it turns out that she is in fact not keeping her head.
I love this pick. I love Charlynn. I figured she was going to get some love today. And Gabrielle Ruiz is so good in this part. It's so difficult to play. And just, I mean, she's perfect. She's perfect. The one-liners and pathological fallacies is just an excellent episode. One of my favorites. And Volcanism motherfucker is pretty much going to be a catchphrase moving forward. And in all of Trek now, Shar, what's your take on Gabrielle Ruiz?
Love it. Love her as well. And this is a solid pick. She really has done an incredible job this season, becoming kind of like a counterbalance to our lower decker characters, which I didn't even think there was a missing piece in the dynamic, but then she showed up and now it's 5, not 4.
Right. Yeah.
It would be really hard to imagine her not there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she has absolutely mastered what I like to call Vulcan resting face through voice. And that takes a lot of talent.
Through voice. Yeah. I've been a big fan of Gabrielle Ruiz since watching her in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So she had a great part in that awesome series. So when I heard she was coming on board, very excited. She's an awesome actor. So awesome pick. I love this. And pathological fallacies is on the board. All right, let's go to my round 4 pick, my creative MVP. I could have picked this person anytime in the past 4 seasons. I'm finally doing it this time, and I was swayed recently, basically, when that last episode aired. 5 words in a hashtag. Twalk Stinger through the heart, hashtag 4 years of mastery. And it is Chris Westlake and his incredible music and scores for this entire series. This is a little bit of a career achievement award for him for these last 4 seasons. But what put me over the top was, in my episode I'm picking here, is Old Friends, New Planets, the finale for season 4. And we just talked about a little bit, Char, his like Tendi theme at the end of this finale, when they're focusing on her and she's got this resolution inside her, like she's gonna go home and she's gonna make it work, right? She's not going home sad. She's going home with a purpose. Like there's something up. She's gonna be trying to make change and do something that impacts the Orions and Starfleet, and I can't wait to see what that is. But the music is so good with and it plays out. You know, they made this choice to just keep that theme going and playing it out over the credits and the Starfield, and not going to the regular closing music for the series. I just love this moment, and through the whole episode, there's all these incredible Wrath of Khan musical notes and tributes, obviously in the visuals and the cat and mouse with Mariner in the Ion Storm. But there's as she enters the Ion Storm, there's that little quick Wrath of Khan stinger as she's going in, and that just floored me, just blew me away.
Perfect.
God,
Absolutely
so
perfect.
God, it just really, really right into my soul. I love it. And when you talk about music and Trek, we've got Giacchino and Nami Malamud and Jeff Russo and what Stephen Barton did with Picard season 3. You know, Chris Westlake is right there with these guys. His music has been phenomenal. Oh, and I gotta highlight it for his career achievement. His Crisis Point music in those 2 episodes is just beyond the way it feels like a Star Trek movie score. I love it. Chris Westlake, Shar, what's your take?
Honestly, I think he needs to be scoring movies if he's not already, because he is so good at that really heart-pumping kind of movie theme. I absolutely love this pick, and the soundtrack for Old Friends, New Planets was noticeably good. Like sometimes when you notice the music, it takes you out, and that's a bad thing. But no, here it's like, okay, you are hitting all the good marks here. The emotion swells when it needs to. It has the Wrath of Khan callbacks, like you already mentioned. It just, man, it's, as the kids say, it's a banger.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes the music can take you out of it even if it's too good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a really good point. But man, that finale, I need this soundtrack fast.
I'm glad a lot of people are saying that too online, because we don't have much for Lower Decks soundtracks, and why not?
Right, we just got the first 2 seasons, or was it? First 2 seasons. We haven't got the third, so we need the fourth, and we still need the second season of Strange New Worlds. So let's get rally the troops on that. Todd, what's your take on Chris Westlake and the music of Lower Decks?
Here's how I'm going to put it. I picked Gabrielle Ruiz for my round 4 pick. She was always going to be my pick going in all the way. The music was so good in the season finale that he almost bumped her. That's how much I was into the music in that episode. And he was my toughest cut as my secondary system, because I thought that was just a tour de force from him. And I thought it was fantastic. And his music is always great. This was just like beyond.
Yeah, exactly that. That's pretty much what happened to me with my final picks here at the end. It's like, I can't not pick this. It's too good. Okay. We are heading to the Dabo round. Okay, Dabo.
Whoop, whoop.
Dabo.
Char, what's your wild card round pick? Round 3.
Okay. This was a fun one. It could have been so many things.
It is a fun one because you can do anything. You can talk about anything.
Anything, yes. My 5 words are, they just lie to you. Hashtag Ferengi TV and chill. I had to go for the funniest B plot where Boimler gets sucked into Ferengi TV in Parth Ferengi's Heart Place.
So good.
So
they just lie to you is such a good 5 words.
Yeah, his commentary and the way that relates to our TV and the gratuitous product placements. He's just so fascinated by it, and then gets sucked into the lowest common denominator storytelling. Just, yep. This could be 21st century Earth TV for you right here.
I mean, this pick was made for the Dabo round of TrekRanks Matrix. I love it.
It seemed fitting, and I loved this B plot in particular because Boimler doesn't get tons to do this season, so when we did get to see him do something, he really shined. And this by far was my favorite Boimler plot. And just because of the social commentary and the fact that he does binge on TV, he's got the chips and everything. His eyes are bloodshot from hours of basically just being glued to the screen. Like, we've all been there. It's so relatable. And I, too, am proud of him, just like Ransom was, for getting sucked in and doing that. We've all been down the rabbit hole, baby.
And Cop Landlords. I mean, who's not watching that show? Come on.
Copland. Only on Feringinar.
It's so good. Todd, what's your take on Boimler getting sucked into television and commercials on Feringinar?
I often think Boimler is the most relatable character, at least to me. And I've definitely been in the position he was in where it's like, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff. And then 8 hours later, I'm watching Landlord Cops.
Right.
And that's just all that keeps me going, There it is.
Right. Or I'll just watch one more YouTube video.
Right. Just own it, people. There's nothing wrong with it. I love a little TV binge. Brilliant choice. We've got Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. This title, I will never say it without stumbling over it. Parth Ferengi's Heart Place makes perfect sense.
It's not an easy one though.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, Dabo round. Todd, what's your pick?
So this is my first TrekRanks appearance, and I really wanted to come in here with the best possible picks and not just go for the most obvious thing possible. I tried really, really hard not to make this pick for the battle round, but it is absolutely impossible not to do it. So my 5 words, actually 6, are, oh fuck, the Moopsie is free, hashtag it drinks your bones.
Oh, it's so good.
Yay.
Of course, it is I have no bones, but I must flee as the episode, and Moopsie is the object of my heart.
Moopsie.
My son and I have been walking around saying Moopsie for weeks. It is the face that has launched 1,000 memes And look, Jim, Char, I am a simple man. If you give me an adorable creature that's actually a horrifying monster, I'm going to love it 100% of the time.
Same.
Yes, same here. And yeah, who isn't just walking around and just saying, "Oopsie," all the time? I am.
Just nonstop over here.
I'm so glad you picked it because Moopsie is not in my picks anywhere. And I was kind of regretting it because it is a little, Moopsie is, it seems like such an easy concept, but to pull it off the way they did is so it's just perfection. And in my head, when I think of Moopsie, there's this one shot after kind of the first terror and ordeal and they're running away. And it's just like a wide shot of like the museum floor. And Moopsie's just kind of very slowly kind of coming into frame on the left side and says, Moopsie. I love that shot so much. It is just absolute comedy perfection. It blows my mind how popular Moopsie is. Fucking brilliant. So good. Shar, any other take?
Well, Moopsie was on my secondary system, so we can scratch that one off.
Me too.
Moopsie.
Yeah, I really wanted to get Moopsie in here. I almost it couldn't be a top character because it's just one of those fun one-off things. But it did get just so explosive in its popularity, sort of like how Shaw, the dipshit from Chicago, became such a thing.
Yes.
Now we're just on to Moopsie. That's all.
I love it. Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. Moopsie is the Shaw of Lower Deck season 4. It's pretty good.
I don't know if he's a dipshit though.
No, Moopsie's not a dipshit. Moopsie's cute.
No dipshit.
Todd, you're a hero for picking Moopsie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moopsie.
Okay, so we've just been talking about how wide open the wild card round is. So this is the first time I've ever done this. I'm just picking an episode because it's an episode I love and I want to talk about. I thought there were so many big swings in this season and obviously the 2-part season finale, but this episode for me was just pure classic TNG Star Trek, and I love it. 5 words and a hashtag. Real Housewives of Beta Z rule. Hashtag consistent tone raises the bar, and I love empathological fallacies. I love this episode. So first time I'm just picking an episode straight up in any of our season recap shows in the Dabo round, but I really wanted to just talk about this because I thought otherwise it might get passed over. And I'll tell you, my favorite thing about Lower Decks across all 4 seasons is when the tone of the episode is super consistent and doesn't go so far off the rails that you have to kind of squint your eyes to convince yourself that it's, in the Trek universe and live action. There's that's those old scientists did that perfectly, right? It just feels like these two things mesh together perfectly. So one area of the Mark Twain stuff was a little bit that was kind of hard to sit back and go, oh yeah, that could happen in TNG. Well, no, it probably couldn't. It's hilarious and I love it, but that's one of those elements where they push so far, and that's what Lower Decks does, and it's great. And I love it. But the thing I really love about the show is when they do these episodes that just have this perfect tone and you can literally just transplant it over to TNG or Voyager or Deep Space Nine. So with empathological fallacy, the reason I love this episode so much is that even though it's kind of a bottle show and takes place all on the Cerritos, it's just, because they're just basically faring about some wacky ambassadors, but it just feels like it's straight out of TNG or Voyager, and I love it. And so the A story is obviously the Beta Z ambassador agents for the BIA, the Beta Z and intelligence investigating the ship out there that's destroying other ships. And then I love the Boimler kind of getting his Zen security treatment and the Enterprise and the Malcolm Reed shout out. And the whole thing's just based on Xanthi fever and Bendai syndrome. It's just so much fun. I just love this. The guest cast is amazing with Wendy Malick and Rachel Dratch. And the other one was Janelle James. I don't know her so much, but Rachel Dratch and Wendy Malick are great comedy actors. I just love this episode. I just think it's perfect. I just think it's really, really good, pure Star Trek. Shar, what's your take?
I'm so glad you mentioned the voice actors because, that trio, they are voice acting comedy gold.
Yes, exactly.
Right there. That was a really great catch for them. And those ladies, oh my gosh. I mean, Loxana Troy would be jealous of that energy. That's how high up they were.
Yeah, right. They fit right in that mode. And I love their names. Their names are Dolores, Cattrot, and Kathy with the W. Kathy. How there's a W in Kathy, I don't know. But Todd, what's your take on this? You picked Talynn and in pathological fallacies. So.
I did, and this was one of my very favorite episodes of the season. And I just love even the really small stuff, like Dr. Ta'aman, they used to hunt Beta's head, and she's talking about eating it for dinner. And I was just dying. I thought that was just so funny. Just such a small thing, but it was just perfect.
I think that was my favorite part of the episode, to be honest, the way she would lick her lips in anticipation.
Yes. Oh, God. Dr. T is so good in that one. I love it. My favorite part is the selfie at the end with Shax and Boimler and and Rutherford and the Malcolm Reed puzzle. So hilarious. Okay, round 2, our top character of the season. Yes, here we go. Shar, what is your pick?
My 5 words are: she gets the best one-liners. One-liner is one word with a hyphen. # Vulcan as a motherfucker. It is, of course, Talynn. She has stolen the show this season. Yes. She's a great foil to some of the more reckless tendencies of our lower deckers. Like, that used to be Boimler with Mariner, although he has his crazy moments too. And she is the grounding force now, for sure. But you also know that when she's around, you're going to get a series of hilarious one-liners. She's gotten some of the very best lines in every episode she's in this season.
Sup, ladies? How's science?
We just cataloged some pretty cool hydrogen samples.
Hydrogen is the most common element in the universe.
Sweet. See you guys at lunch. Boimler, make sure you shower first. Holodeck duty.
Your odor will be repulsive.
Oh, thank you so much, Talynn.
You are welcome.
I picked the episode In the Cradle of Vexilon because it's best demonstrated there. And she gives Boimler a much needed reality check kind of when he's going crazy, commanding his first mission. So I thought that was great, but she was also really good in Something Borrowed, Something Green. I almost went for that one, but you got to pick one. So there we go.
No, I love it. Picking Vexilon makes perfect sense because she's like the grounded voice of reason.
She's the only voice of reason.
Right.
Yeah, the only one. Yeah, I was so excited when she came at the end of last season, and the way they've integrated her this season has just been fantastic. Like, she's been everything I could have hoped for and more. And yeah, I love the pick.
I love it. Actually, why don't we this happened once before on TrekRanks with everyone having the same 5 words in a hashtag, which was baby needs a new pair of shoes, and everyone was picking the Royale. I can't remember the topic. But why don't let's just go to my character right now, because 5 words in a hashtag, Vulcan as a motherfucker hashtag.
Yeah.
I also chose Talynn because I just could not. She's just incredible. So we basically all 3 have picked her. And I took Something Borrowed, Something Green, which is what you just talked about.
Hey,
Shar.
perfect.
I just love her in this when she's got she's like observing, right? And she's making comments about everything that the Orions are doing, and she's going to take this record and report back to Starfleet. And I just love the end when she decides, she doesn't need to do that. She's going to Orion culture will have to remain undocumented. A report without the subject's consent would be unethical. And she just throws away the pad. I love it. Oh yeah, and I have in my notes from Vexilon, because that was another one when she says to because you said best one-liner, she says to Boimler, ensigns serving under promoted commanders are more likely to experience death and or dismemberment. And Boimler goes, death? And she's like, yes, and or dismemberment. It's so good.
It's that, yeah.
It's exactly that. It's the perfect one-liner.
Your caution is warranted. Statistically, ensigns serving under recently promoted commanders are more likely to experience death and or dismemberment.
Death?
Yes, and or dismemberment.
Talynn, round up. Any other final thoughts before we move on to Todd's pick here?
I think we covered her pretty well. Yeah.
Yes, we really did, and deservedly so. She deserves to be highlighted this much in the episode. Okay, Todd, who is your top character then?
My 5 words are characters careening carousel calms considerably. #closure counterbalances convenient crazy. And my pick here is Beckett Mariner.
Yes.
And I think she always gets picked at least once in this round on TrekRanks, but I can't resist doing it again.
Good.
And I have to admit that at first I was actually a little disappointed that they were going back to the Mariner's crazy again storyline.
Right.
Because it's ground we've already tread upon. But by the time we got to the real backstory, it was a doozy. And you could just see how much she's grown as a character. So my episode pick here is actually Old Friends, New Planets, because we get to see her at her absolute finest. She's sassing Locarno, she's kicking butt, she's stealing ships, she's getting chatty with a mini Genesis device. It is pure Uncut Mariner, and I am here.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, good old GD. I love it. Anytime we can highlight Mariner and Tawny Newsome and her performance, she is spectacular. It's just incredible. I'm gonna highlight. I had this in my secondary system, but I'll talk about it now. My favorite laugh out loud moment of the entire season was when she walks onto the bridge of Locarno's ship for the first time, and she goes, "What up, Binars?" I laughed so loud. What up, Binars?
What up, Binars?
Oh my God. And it's just the delivery from Tawny Newsome. It's just perfection. Absolute perfection. What's your take on Mariner and Tawny Newsome, Shar?
Yeah, love her like crazy. Tawny Newsome, she is like my goals in life. She's just so cool. She's an amazing actress. She is writing now on Starfleet Academy. Like, she's doing everything my 15-year-old self thought I was going to do, but she's actually doing it, and she's much more qualified. So I'm glad it's her. She's fantastic. I thought you were going to go for, as far as favorite quotes or funniest quote, was the whole "what in the minimalist hell."
Oh yeah,
because
I love that. Yes, that got me.
Oh my gosh, so good. But I also like "what up, Binars."
Oh God.
And what is it when she's addressing everybody? He's like, "Hey everybody," or
"I'm gonna call a timeout."
Something like that.
Yeah.
Tawny Newsome has shown some really good range as Mariner. And Todd, just like you, I was a little, I don't know. I guess, like, haven't we been down this road before? Shouldn't she have resolved these issues by season 4? Like, I thought we were moving past that, and no, we're going to kick the can down the road a little more. The whole Cedo Jaxa thing, definitely does add a lot of weight to it. I do wonder why she has held it in for so long without resolving it. But then I have to remember, one, therapy in the 24th century, well, it was written iffy. So there's that. And
it's true.
And, it's one thing to tell somebody to go to therapy, but to actually go through that process and learn and grow from it has to be that person's choice. And sometimes people go through life not knowing how things have affected them, how it affects their behavior. And I wonder if maybe that is Mariner. Now she's aware. And now I hope she takes a dose of her own medicine. The things that she said to Locarno apply to her as well. And maybe she can actually move on going forward.
I will say that's how I took it. A lot of that episode, in the sense that she had become fully kind of unlocked at that point in herself. And, we've kind of been thrown the red herring that, she was rebelling against her mom, and that's why she's doing it. It's like, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't these other things. And this seems like this is like the real reason. And now that she can address it, she can move forward.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to see how much butt she can kick in season 5.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I feel like we are there. They're not going to go back to this now. I think this is going to be moving forward. But even with the mom stuff, like, there was progress there, right? Like, all this season, she was working well with her mom. So
good point.
So that was kind of a developmental element from seasons 1 and 2, and it wasn't really part of season 3. It was more of just kind of the rash, kind of putting herself in danger.
Right. The self-sabotage.
Yeah, exactly. So and I'm remembering you were talking about the moment where she jumps up on screen and goes, "This guy sucks."
Yes.
Don't listen to him.
Yes.
Right. I love that.
Right. Like imagine like season 1 Mariner, I think was that way for a lot of people. Like, oh my God, all she wants to do is just rebel and break the rules. That sort of thing. It's going to be really interesting. And I hope we see this where now that she, I hope, is going to finally move on, she's going to have to do the really hard work of defining herself without that self-sabotaging as a coping mechanism. You're going to have to live with progress, Mariner. What's that going to be like?
And I have complete faith that they're going to do that well, because I keep seeing that criticism about, it's just kind of retread. But I don't feel like this season was a retread. This season, she wasn't fighting with her mom and it was all just that kind of aggressive self-sabotage, like you were saying, it's subtly different. I mean, definitely in the same realm, but for me, it felt different. So, and we haven't talked about it really in depth, and I'm the biggest Cito Jaxa fan. I love her. Incredible, that reveal. I was just bawling in absolute tears. So, and actually that might come up in our next round. So let's go there and see if anybody's got that. Let's go to round 1.
Begin round 1.
And our top episodes. So, Shar, what's your number 1 pick?
All right. My 5 words are, he looks like Tom Paris. Hashtag Cerritos Strong. I ultimately had to go with Old Friends, New Planets, with Caves being such a close second. I debated this almost up to recording time. But you know what? Lower Decks knows how to close a season. It's always had good season finales, and this is right up there as one of the absolute best. I love all of the things that they tied in that we've seen in the previous episodes this season coming together, like the Mark Twaining and going back to Orion with Tendy's family. So much stuff coming together. It was just really beautiful how it all wrapped up.
Yeah. It really was. This episode is a masterpiece, and it really is incredible how Mike McMahan has hit a home run with like episodes 9 and 10 of all 4 seasons. They're all just peak level Trek, and this one has it all. It's just incredible. And the reveal of Nick Locarno as the big bad, that just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Did not see it coming. Todd, what's your take on Old Friends, New Planets?
I don't know. I didn't see the resemblance, honestly. I don't see it. So,
I don't see it.
That's so good.
I mean, I think both parts of these were fantastic. And I mean, they have not yet missed in a season finale.
Yeah.
4 for 4, just absolutely knocking out of the park every time.
Yeah. Incredible home run. Okay. Let's see what you got, Todd. What's your number 1 pick? Your top episode of the year?
Okay, my 5 words are, finally we understand her struggle. Hashtag Lower Decks calls back Lower Decks. And my pick is The Inner Fight.
Perfect.
Which of course sets up Old Friends, New Planets.
Yep.
I just loved Mariner kind of getting to the heart of it. Because like I said, I was a little frustrated at first. And then within 10 minutes, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's incredibly cool that this show, which is basically built off the TNG episode Lower Decks, went to call back that Lower Decks for this Lower Decks. And that's why Mariner is the way she is. And then, we get to actually see her as basically sort of a young Boimler at the academy, running up to her older, wiser friend, and, the guilt that she's taken from that over the years. And I just thought it was a great in-depth way to kind of move her character forward. And like we said in the last pick, I do hope that she lives with that progress now, and we can see sort of where that goes. But I just thought the episode was great. And, maybe it was she needed a Klingon therapist all this time. Who knew?
I mean, I love Ma, and just the fact that Ma didn't die in Tuvix. When I thought Ma was dead at the end of Tuvix, I was like, what? I love that guy. That's so sad. So realizing he was coming back is awesome. And then is the catalyst for Mariner to figure it out. And this reveal, so I caught myself a second ago because I thought maybe someone would have The Inner Flight as their number 1 episode. So when they reveal that, Cito Jaxa is the hero and mentor of Mariner for all these years, and we finally get this reference back to one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite moments in the history of Star Trek, from Lower Decks, I was blown away. Just, I mean, audibly like sobbing when she mentioned Cedo as her hero and what she went through and how she inspired her. I lost it. Oh my God. I love it. So yeah, I'm so glad you picked the inner fight. It's an amazing episode. Shar, what's your take?
Yeah, you can't have old friends, new planets without the setup from the inner fight. So that's, yeah, great. I'm so glad somebody picked it.
Right.
It's hard to do that with a two-parter when you can only pick one, but you kind of, they have to have both. Yeah, it's yin and yang. But yeah, Cedo Jaxa is such a beloved character in the Trek lore. I'm really happy with how she was used here and why she's Mariner's motivation for all of these things. And I really think Ma'a, we need to see him become a therapist because he broke through to Mariner when no one else did.
Oh my God. I would love to see more. I think we'll see more of him. He kind of disappeared in the Old Friends, New Planets. I was a little bummed we didn't get to see him, but I get it. But yeah, you're right. What they did with Cedo was perfection. It actually answered for me, because I've always lived with my headcanon of like, oh, well, Cedo definitely lived and she's in a Cardassian prison somewhere, and we just haven't heard that story yet. But now we know that's definitely not the case because I don't think they would torpedo themselves and go there where she's alive when Mariner's talking about her in the way that she's talking, the way they're representing her.
I'm glad they didn't do it.
Me too. And for me, it's closure. So it's like, I'm just happy that we kind of know now that extra layer of what she meant to one of the great characters in Star Trek history, Beckett Mariner. Okay, so I guess at this point, everyone's just wondering, which one am I picking?
Yeah, what are you doing, Jim?
Is it the inner fight or Old Friends, New Planets? 5 words and a hashtag. Lower Decks First Duty sequel, hashtag Nova Fleet Unite. And my number one episode is Old Friends, New Planets. I was torn because they're really, really neck and neck. But it's that cold open. It's getting that flashback to the First Duty and seeing Locarno and seeing Wesley. And we actually meet Josh Albert. Are you kidding me? We didn't meet him before, and now he has a face, and now he's got a real sad story. Because I watched that scene, and I'm like, oh man, this guy is gonna pay with his life for this. That's really sad.
Yeah.
And of course, seeing Cedo Jaxa again was just incredible for me. So I absolutely love that. I love the Tendi stuff in this episode, where all the something borrowed, something green stuff really pays off well in this episode. They even do the dumb Mark Twain thing, and it works. So it's
of course it does.
So, of course it
won't hunt, sir.
Yes, of course, I declare. So, and then the Wrath of Khan homages, and I've mentioned the incredible Chris Westlake score.
Let's see what you can do with the secondary systems.
Okay, here we go. Secondary system. Let's get a little deeper. Shar, what do you got? Anything that just missed your list?
3 very big ones.
Okay.
One was Moopsie. Already mentioned that.
Yeah.
Moopsie. Moopsie.
Second one is the episode Caves. That almost got my top episode pick because I really, really love that episode. It really does show full circle how far the Lower Deckers really have come. It's a great time to see them reconnect because they have been apart a little bit, taking different assignments and whatnot. But at the core, their friendship is still there. And like, it just reminds me as you get older, how things like having families and things happening in life and your jobs and what have you takes you away from a lot of the people you knew when you were younger. But sometimes when you do reconnect with them, it's like no time has passed whatsoever. You're still there.
Yeah. And it's perfectly packaged in that Star Trek storytelling kind of.
Right. All the caves that look all alike.
Yep. So good.
Yes.
Plus, Caves is the calm before the storm of the epic 2-part season finale.
Yes.
And for all those reasons, Caves got nominated.
By the way, to that, there's a moment at the end of that episode where literally the Vendorian's watching them, and they're like, "Should we clear their communication?" He's like, "No, let them
have it."
Moment. Yeah, it was really, really good.
It was great. So then, for top character, I had one other mention that I wanted to put out there, and that is Devana Tendi. because both she and Noelle Wells have stood out a lot this season. I love where Tendy's story is going. I love that we get to see the Orion homeworld and learn more about Orion culture. That was fantastic because that hasn't really happened, but we got to get the Lower Decks take on it too, which, hey, that's double good. And it sounds like we'll be going back for more. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, but I also just like to see her growing as a person, and whatever family drama she wants to clear up going into season 5, I'm here for it.
Yep. Love that pick. I picked her, I think, in season 1, maybe season 2. Todd, what are your secondary systems picks?
So I have a couple. We hit on a few, but obviously Chris Westlake, the music of the finale was incredible. I loved the Voyager speed run of 2 Vicks.
Yep.
I was also going to mention Tendi because I thought she had a great arc this season, and I think she's always a delight. One person I was going to potentially reference was Shannon Phil, and I was very excited that she was back to be Cito Jackson in the finale. But I thought, she didn't really have a lot to do in Trek, but she's a very memorable character, and it really paid off this season in Lower Decks.
I often wonder about that. Like, does she know how impactful her character is, and how much dorks like me and Star Trek fans everywhere just love that character?
It's a great question.
I mean, she must have some idea if 30 years later she's getting a phone call from Mike McMahan, like, hey, will you come play this part because you're really important in Star Trek? I mean, how cool is that? It's just so cool.
I'd love to know how that phone call went.
God, me
too. Was she excited to do it? Like, oh, wow, really? You want me back for this thing I did a long time ago? Or was it, I quit acting in 1995? What are you talking about?
I know.
He had to sell it to her.
How did you get my number?
Some journalists out there, go track down the Shannon Phil stories. We can hear kind of.
We need an interview.
What is her take on this phenomena? I love it. Okay, sorry, keep going, Todd.
Yeah, I had 2 more, and one is there were a lot of. There've always been some outside references in Lower Decks, but I felt like there were more obvious ones this year.
Yep.
So, for instance, like when Boimler is quote unquote dead, he goes to the room from Twin Peaks.
Yes, the Twin Peaks. That was so good.
There's
yeah,
McQuallen, oh my god, I thought that was
awesome.
great.
Yep.
And then of course, Garth Ferengi, which I was so funny that it's like Garth Ferengi's, dark place. I thought that was fantastic. And then my final thing that I'm going to say is just one thing.
Livick. So good.
Yeah.
I love it. Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to have to cut that Livick soundbite.
Livick! Leave some minor improvements for the rest of us, guy!
Okay. My toughest cut was Jack Ransom and Jerry O'Connell. So early in the season, this is another reason why I didn't feel like the Mariner story was repeating itself, because they established that really early on that Jack was just like, yep, don't care. I'm going to support you. I don't care what you do to me. You're promoted. I'm going to support you. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to make it work. And doesn't matter what you say. And I just love that. And they did a couple of episodes of that. Really, first 2 or 3, it was really a big part of kind of establishing where they were going with Mariner in terms of his support. And I love that. His character, he didn't have as much to do in the second half of the season, so I couldn't pick him, but I really wanted to highlight the importance of that element of Jack Ransom this season. I think that was a big deal. And then my other picks here, I loved the mystery thread of the ships. Just kept us guessing the whole way. First the Klingons and Tuvix, then the Romulans and I Have No Bones Yet I Must Flee, then the Orions and Something Borrowed Something Green. They actually show the ship, the blurry ship, and in Pathological Fallacies. And then in Parth Ferengi's Heart Place, you get the Ferengi ship and the Binars and a few badgies more. That's 6 episodes. They really carried this thing across. And I thought the whole time it was going to be either Agamus or Peanut Hamper or Badgie that was the big bad. And I was just blown away.
I thought it was, I kept thinking it was going to be Badgie. I kept waiting for that. I guess it's not Badgie.
And then I thought, okay, well, maybe it's Agamus and they're going to make him the big bad and have him explode. And then I thought, well, it must be Section 31 Boimler. Nope, didn't even get a mention. So he'll probably be back in season 5. But so my other one was Agamus. I just love Jeffrey Combs' voice work here. I mean, everyone knows how good Jeffrey Combs is, but for him to make that character just fly. I just absolutely love that. I also wanted to give a shout out to, we saw a captain's yacht in action. How great was that? Finally.
Yes.
It took 57 years. So cool.
903 episodes later.
Exactly. And I just kind of blew it because I just mentioned it, but my special shout out is none of us fucking mentioned Peanut Hamper. I love you guys. I love you. Okay, let's do it. We're going to our regeneration cycle. We're going to recap our picks and go through some stats.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
Okay, Shar, recap your top 5.
You got it. So for round 5, it was Badgie ascending into his own universe.
Such a good pick.
Round 4, top creative went to Mike McMahan. Round 3, the Dabo Wildcard round, I picked funniest B plot with Boimler getting sucked into Ferengi TV. Round 2, top character was Charlynn. And round 1, top episode went to Old Friends, New Planets.
Perfect. I forgot to fire the phasers. We had a couple of duplicates, but oh well. We'll fire them in a minute. Todd, recap your 5.
Sure. My round 5 pick was the promotions for all our lower deckers. My round 4 pick was Gabrielle Ruiz as Charlynn. My round 3 pick was, of course, Moopsie. My round 2 pick was Beckett Mariner, and my episode pick in round 1 was The Inner Fight.
Perfection. And my recap, my production design element was just seeing Voyager again in Tuvix. My creative MVP, finally, I picked Chris Westlake for his incredible scores, Old Friends, New Planets. My number 3 was just in Pathological Fallacies. I love that episode and want to give it a shout out. My number 2 was Charlynn, but I chose Something Borrowed, Something Green. And my number 1 episode, Old Friends, New Planets. So for our statistical breakdown, we did have a couple of duplicates. So I'll fire those phasers now. The main one was our number 1s, Shar and myself, both Old Friends, New Planets. We both picked Charlynn, but different episodes. Charlynn got mentioned 3 times in our picks. Moopsie once and Mariner once. So that's pretty good. But my favorite thing in this stat breakdown is that all 10 episodes got picked. That's pretty rare.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
For that to happen in our recap show. So we had 1 each for I Have No Bones, Yet I Must Flee. The In the Cradle of Vexilon got 1. Something Borrowed, Something Green. Parth Ferengi's Heart Place. A few badges more. Caves and The Inner Fight all got 1. So that's 8. No, that's 7 with 1. Tuvix got 2 picks, and Pathological Fallacies got 2 picks, and leading the way, Old Friends, New Planets with 4 picks. So I absolutely love that all 10 episodes got picked. That's amazing. Okay, here we go. We're going to initiate a temporal inversion because it's time to hear from you.
Initiate temporal inversion.
Initiating.
And for this week's temporal inversion, we are going back to episode 165 in the top 5 portals portaling, which is kind of perfect because that was the show we used as our preview episode for this season of Lower Decks. The top 5 portals portaling, we got in 2 great lists. One from Craig Main, who is at Craig M1701, friend of the show. I love his list. He had The Trouble with Tribbles / Trials and Tribulations, and he chose the Grain Hatch as his portal. That's a ton of Tribbles. Nice. Close that door. Good 5 words in a hashtag. For Bride of Chaotica, he had the Invaders from the 5th Dimension, a dash of purple, great portal. The Killing Game. Oh, this is so good. I forgot. He had the Voyager as a giant holodeck, that epic cliffhanger at the end of the Killing Game with that final shot of all the different decks. Fantastic. TV as a portal, the home of Star Trek. Hashtag a window to adventure. All of Trek. I love that.
Nice.
And he went with the OG Guardian of Forever, my entry to Star Trek. Hashtag take me with you. His first ever he ever watched, City on the Edge of Forever. So fantastic list from Craig. And then I like this one too. So this is just a quick relay from our buddy Trek Live Dan, who's at Trek Live. I need to get Dan back on the show with Bill Mann, our buddies. He had 5 really good deep cut picks. So 1, the alternative factor. I mean, classic, multiple universes. Contagion, the Iconians, which was one of my picks. He had the Lightning Storm in Space from Star Trek 09, the OG City on the Edge of Forever, and I love his top pick was Generations, the Nexus.
Oh, yeah.
All portals. Yeah, so good.
Those are good lists.
Yeah, excellent picks. More than enough to clear ourselves from this week's temporal inversion. So as always, I want to thank everyone again for all your great responses to the TrekRanks podcast. So please keep your list coming to me at TrekRanks on Twitter so we can retweet them. But we also want to hear from you. So put together your own list of top 5 Lower Decks season 4 moments or a list from any of our past shows. Give us a call at the Tricorder Transmissions at 609-512-5527. Or you can just record it and send me a DM and we can link up that way too. And I can download it if you don't want to call. So hopefully we'll hear from you so you can be featured on the next episode of TrekRanks. And on the next episode of TrekRanks, we are doing a fun one. It's an episode that I originally teased more than 2.5 years ago when I happened to say in an episode that we should do game changers. Like in episode 171, I literally said that 2.5 years ago. I just threw it out there. And here we are. It's episode 171, and we're doing the top 5 game changers, which is a pretty broad topic. And it's a nice companion to the top 5 improvements that we did way back on episode 107. So Shar and Todd, I'm going to give you a second. But if you had to choose one game changer in Star Trek history, it could be in universe, could be production, however you want to look at it, a character, an event, what is coming into your head as a game changer? Shar, what do you got?
First thing that came to mind was the spore drive.
There you go.
In Discovery.
Honestly, I think I might have picked that as my improvement. That's why we kept having a debate in the episode, like, what's an improvement? What's a game changer? I'm looking this up right now. Hold on. I did. Black Alert and Spore Drive. So
nice.
So that's a great pick. You're brilliant. I probably debated that pick. I don't know if it's an improvement or a game changer, but I'm picking it. So anyway, now we're doing game changers. This is basically a sequel to episode 107. You should go back and listen to that one. Todd, what is your pick for a game changer?
Oh, I had an immediate one, and since I know we're all Voyager fans here, how about Scorpion, where 7 of 9 arrives for the first time on Voyager?
Oh my God, there you go. I mean,
that's a complete game changer for that show.
Massive, 1,000%. Massive game changer. I love it. So good. Okay, I can't wait for this one. I mean, that episode 107 is a real fun one, and I know this one is going to be as well.
Channel closed. Reset. Subspace communication. Scrambler code Riker 1.
Okay, Scrambler code Riker 1 acknowledged. All right, let's close this episode out with a huge thanks to Charlynn, Schmiedt, and Todd Kehoe. It was awesome having you guys on the show. So any final Trek Scrambler codes you want to relay before we depart, Char?
Well, you got my contact info at the top, but if you want to see me on more podcasts, you can actually see me on Mission Log Prodigy, but we do have an audio version of that as well. And I cannot wait to do more next year because season 2 is finally going to come out on Netflix. Yay!
Cannot wait for season 2 of Prodigy.
So excited.
It's now just feels like it's just outside our grasp. So it's coming close. I can't wait.
I hope it's the highlight of 2024.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, it could well be based on season 1, how great that was. And the fact that we know we get 20 more episodes, not just 10, right? We know there's 20 out there. So, I'm dying to know how Netflix is going to drop them, right? If they're going to do 10 at once and then maybe wait a couple months and do 10, or
they better not. No,
I don't know.
That was painful last time.
They're not doing all 20 at once, Char. So I would rid yourself of that dream if that's what you think. I can't see that happening.
No, maybe not a binge, but Netflix does tend to drop in groups. Just don't make us wait 8 months. That's all I ask.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe 8 weeks between 2. That would be fair.
All right.
Okay, we'll see. Who knows? I have no clue. Todd, thank you for coming on, man. Really great job. Loved your picks. Hope you had fun.
I had a blast. I'm so happy to be here. As I said before, you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm not really on a ton of other podcasts, but hey, maybe this will launch me into the podcast stratosphere.
You heard it,
TrekRanks
podcast.
is a stepping stone to the rest of the universe.
Listen, Todd just crushed it on his first TrekRanks. So
you did. Great job.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Do you think they'll give her time to do a little science?
Unlikely, but possible.
Something tells me those Orions have bit off a lot more than they can chew.
Yeah, Tendi loves Starfleet. She'll be back in no time.
Come on, we got some Lieutenant Junior grading to do. When's our next briefing?
0900.
Something to do with repairs to the warp manifold.
Hey, that's Rutherford stuff. You'll have fun.
Yeah, can't go wrong with a warp manifold.
Thanks, everyone, for engaging with us here on episode 170 of the TrekRanks podcast. As always, I want to close by saying I'm looking forward to standing with you again here in this place where I belong.
You've got this.
Just want to remind everyone again that the entire TrekRanks catalog is available for you to download and listen to at TrekRanks.com and on your podcast player of choice. Our episodes never get carbon dated, so check out the topics you've missed and maybe just want to listen to again over at TrekRanks.com. And a reminder to check out our friends 5-Year Mission at 5yearmission.net. They're writing a song for every episode of Star Trek, and you won't believe how great their music is. They also have a podcast at the Trek Geeks Network, so seek them out. You won't regret it.